I'm Rosa Parra. I am here on behalf of CherryPicks at the Sundance 2024. I am accompanied by the incredible Carla Gutiérrez, director of the documentary Frida. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to watch the movie a couple days ago,
Oh, cool.
and I have not been able to stop thinking about it. It's such an incredible, powerful, and important film, particularly for a Latina like myself who grew up with the presence of Frida Kahlo throughout my life. Yet I didn't have the understanding of her life until I saw this documentary. So thank you so much for
I'm
doing
so
that.
glad you liked it.
Yes.
Are you from Mexico or?
No, Mexican American, Chicana. East
Oh,
LA.
Chicana, yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. So yeah, in the Chicano community, her image is everywhere.
Oh,
And
yes.
she's the symbol of
Mhm.
female empowerment and
Yeah.
courage and resiliency. So I want to know, what is your background with Frida Kahlo, and why do her documentary? Because I can imagine it must have been a lot of responsibility and pressure to take on the story of somebody who is very well known and culturally important.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm only one of millions of people that have had an emotional connection to her art. I discovered her when I was in college many years ago,
Mhm.
and I was a new immigrant. I come from Peru, and I discovered this painting of her standing in between the United States and Mexico, and kind of like having that first interaction with a new world, and also yearning for home.
Yeah.
And that I just saw myself reflected in that painting, especially at that moment. So that was like my introduction to her. And then I got obsessed with her, like a lot of people do. Saw a lot of her painting. As I mature as a woman, I really, personally connected to a lot of her paintings. And I just studied her life. And like maybe 2.5 years ago, I just started thinking about that story again, and I looked into what was possible, and I realized that there hadn't been a film that really truly focused on her voice completely. And looking at the material, it wasn't really obvious, but the her voice was in a lot of reading materials. So we thought, why not let Frida tell her own story? And that's how we started. And yes, immense responsibility. There's so many people that love her, so many people that know her, so many people that claim her, so many communities that she connects with. But we really follow her own voice and kind of like follow what she wanted to say and how she was sharing her emotions throughout her life. So that's how we tackled the film.
Wow, that's beautiful. I think one of the standouts of, well, there's so many standouts from the animation to the score to the sound, the music, but to me, what stood out was the voice narration. Casting Fernanda Echevarria del Rivero as the voice of Frida.
The Fernanda Echeverria.
Yes,
She's incredible. Yeah.
incredible. She has the raspy voice. We know Frida smoked a lot, so it gave it very much credibility, but also her versatility to convey so many emotions, from like anger and frustration to joyful. And at the same time, there's this sense of wonder and innocence in an odd way. How was it like working with her? Because I can imagine that you must have put a lot of thought into casting that voice, because it works very, very well.
Thank you so much. And I love how you described it, because that was like, it's like very much our reaction when we heard her audition. It's, we always thought of Frida as this mature voice of a passionate woman, but also this freshness of curiosity and like even like a childish like love for life, right? And she was very sarcastic and like very traviesa, right? Mischievous. So we heard that in the first audition with Fernanda, and it kind of like her voice and the way that we gave her some lines, and just the way that she portrayed those emotions in her performance, just like kind of took her breath away. So when we started working with her, we were in Mexico. We went to Mexico to record the actors. And one thing that I wanted to do with Frida's voice is to have the feeling that we were having the opportunity to kind of like sit down with Frida at the end of her life, and that she was like whispering her secrets and her kind of life story to us.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that I was in the booth with Fernanda, because a lot of times people direct from like outside the booth and the person is alone with the mic. So I was very close to Fernanda, and we did a lot of takes. I mean, Fernanda just brought it, right? During, for example, there's a really sad segment in the film of Frida losing, having a miscarriage during a pregnancy. And Fernanda, I mean, you just could see, I mean, there was a lot of tears and a lot of crying and, a lot of concentration to kind of like get into that moment. And we were just like the two of us, very close. And we did takes where she just kind of like got into her head. We did takes where she would look at me as if she was telling again her secrets to a friend. So it was like a very intense, recording session. And just I mean, how lucky to get somebody like Fernanda to embody this, big figure.
Yeah, and it's very immersive. It just immersed me more into the film, her performance.
Can I say something about the voice?
Yes.
So I had the misfortune to have to live with my voice for a long time because during the edit, like the easiest way to be able to like, record Frida's lines and try different things was for me to actually record Frida. And it was just so difficult to like hear my voice. And I was just like, I can't wait to like have, somebody with like real acting talent to like take over. And then so I was very thankful to Fernanda once that happened. I was just like, yes, finally I don't have to hear my voice.
That's amazing. So Frida very much was very unique for having a specific mindset, particularly for a woman of her time. She was more of a living life and viewing and experience circumstances and situations as not necessarily things happening to her, but rather things happening for her. And in that same realm of thinking, what has been the director, the editor, and your entire experience with this film done for you?
For me?
Yeah.
I think that, I've taken inspiration from her art, for many, many years. But I think just kind of like discovering her as a very complex woman. I mean, it's not, it's not kind of like simplistic, feminist, like, spirit. She was dealing with a world that wanted to contain women. She couldn't contain her own voice. But she was also like a very complex individual. I mean, gender dynamics, societal, pressures. Those are really complicated, and we sometimes put those pressures on ourselves. So we wanted to really like show her as a full woman and as a full individual that wasn't perfect, or that knew herself completely from the beginning. But at the end of the day, since she was a little girl, I feel that she just kind of made the decision not to contain her voice. And her voice, and her feelings kind of bled into her canvas. And I feel like that's what I've taken away from working on this film, is how can I also do that with honesty in my artistic expression. And I do hope that also audiences take that away, that like the sense of, wanting to release one's emotions in an honest way, which is sometimes painful, is sometimes difficult. It is a good thing. It's a cathartic thing, right?
Yeah. Well, Carla, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your questions.
And just like Frida, you're an inspiration for all of us.
Oh, mil gracias.
Incredible movie. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.